Hi, welcome to AFTV. I've got Julian with me. We've just beaten Brentford 1-0 here at the G-Tech Community Stadium. 1-0 win through to the next round. Was that a performance, you feel like we were owed, Julian, after what we saw against our North London rivals?
I wouldn't say we were owed it, and I didn't actually expect it either.
Oh, wow.
If you looked at you listened to the press conferences, Arteta, I think, he didn't even mention Brentford. He hardly even spoke about the cup.
Yeah.
He was talking about players needing minutes.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the real focus of his press conference. And if you read into that, it seemed like he didn't really care. He was almost treating it like a training exercise. Whereas the Brentford manager was focusing very much on, we want to have a cup run.
Yeah, you could see that from the players that they started as well.
As soon as the players were announced, you could see that for the Brentford side, it was as good as it could be.
Yeah.
I know they've got some injuries. For the Arsenal side, there was a player in the Arsenal side I'd never even heard of. I got a bit worried. I thought it was Sonogo coming back.
I heard that in the stands as well for some people. Thank you, Junior.
Yeah, so, I didn't expect that performance, but the first half, I have to say, very comfortable. I mean, compared with Sunday, I was looking at my pulse. I got one of those little watches, and it gives my pulse rate. My pulse rate, when I'm relaxed, is about 56, my resting pulse rate. Sunday, it was between 95 and 102.
What was it today?
Today, it was sort of 65, 66. So it was, for me, it was a relaxing game.
Yeah, it was.
We didn't seem to be threatened in any way in that first half. Second half, though, I did think we rode our luck a little bit. It wasn't.
I understand that they hit the post. I mean, we had a clearance off the line. But did your heart rate or your pulse go up? Because I felt quite assured, even though there was some nervy moments.
It didn't go up that much because it didn't matter as much tonight.
Right.
If we'd gone out, I would have been disappointed, but it wouldn't be like losing a North London derby. Yeah. And I think the players and the crowd, and including the Brentford crowd, I felt that the atmosphere here tonight was the kind of the quietest. I mean, I've been here for all both the Premier League games, and especially that first game that I came in, the first game that they had in that stadium. I've still got mental scars from that night. It was one of the loudest grounds I've ever been to, and tonight, I think from both sets of fans, it was pretty quiet. I mean, the Arsenal fans were enjoying the moment, but they didn't seem as passionate. It was nothing like the intensity that we had on Sunday or other Premier League games.
Is that understandable though, because of it being a cup competition? Arteta wrote it, and I guess some people don't take this cup competition seriously. I do as a fan, but do you think that kind of plays into it? Because I think a lot of people building up to this were like, do we need to take it as seriously? Do you think they felt like that came across to the players?
Well, you talk about taking it seriously, but the reality was he changed most of that team. He did actually sort of bring in a lot of players that you would consider to be squad players, but the main difference that I can see from other years is the quality of our squad. Because if you remember back in the Wenger days, he basically used this team or use this competition to play a team of youngsters that you wouldn't have heard of 4 or 5 of them unless you kind of watched the under-23s. Whereas tonight there was one player that I didn't know. The other players that came in, I would argue that they could get into most Premiership teams, even though they're our backup squad, and that's testament to what.
That's a big statement.
I mean, look at some of those players. There was a lot of internationals that have come in that would be considered to be our second team. And that's testament to what Arteta's done here in the last few years, and also Edu, and also the Cronkies. They've totally changed the club from top to bottom. So now we can come to grounds like this, which is another Premiership ground. Brentford have got a reputation of being, I wouldn't say a great Premiership team, but in the last few years, this place is supposed to be a difficult place to come to. And they've come with I'm going to call it second rate, which almost diminishes the quality of what we had, but a second string team, and I wouldn't say completely dominated, but won the game relatively comfortably.